So good morning. Welcome to today's webinar. The topic today is using Grok3 and ChatGPT to maximize efficiency. My name is Rich Rosalia. I will be the moderator for today's session. Before we dive into the content, just to go over a couple of housekeeping items, the webinar should last no more than 50 minutes, and that includes time at the end for a Q&A session. Everyone's microphones, the participant microphones are on mute. So if you need to submit a question, just use the Q&A button that you should see at the bottom of your screen. We are recording today's session, and then we will upload it to our BridgePoint website for future reference. So today's session is going to be all about Grok3 and ChatGPT. We're going to go through a little bit of an overview of those tools, but also show some specific examples how you can use them to help you improve your efficiency. And we're very fortunate to have John Gavilan lead us through this session. John is one of BridgePoint Technologies' co-founders. He's also our Chief Technology Officer, and he's an expert on these topics. So without further ado, let me introduce John, and thank you once again for joining us today.
Hey everyone, I'm so glad you guys are able to join, and let me try and share my screen here. So yeah, we're going to talk about ChatGPT and Grok3. Also do a little bit of history on AI, how we got here, and everything else that leads up to this, so that you kind of have an idea of what we're talking about and what you're going to be looking at. So just a very brief history. AI has been around for a long time. But it really gained popularity in November of 22. ChatGPT was released by OpenAI. You probably heard about it before, just something in the back of your ear, but never really paid attention. Only the nerds like me actually took attention to it. Early 2003, mid 2003, OpenAI had a really big upgrade called GPT-4. Everybody started taking notice. Google made their own. They've been making their own, but they released it. Claude, which is from another AI company, and then other AI companies started doing them. And then late 2023 and 2024, programmers started making applications that are specific to AI. Think legal firms or medical startups creating applications that run on top of these systems to make it more specific to the verticals that they are running. And in late 2024, just right around December, actually, there was a really, really big breakthrough, which you guys probably heard about it on the news. It's called DeepSeek. Now, the reason why this is very significant is all the way up to that point, all of AI was very expensive to run. It was very expensive to have AI servers that could host your models, or you would train them, you would give them all this information, and then you would converse with them. All of that is very expensive. You're talking hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. They have they're even speaking of building nuclear power plants just to power those things. DeepSeek though was built by a Chinese company, and it's kind of funny because the way it came about is the US kind of banned China from being able to import NVIDIA video cards. The video cards are what allow these AIs to function correctly. And China couldn't get a hold of them, but they wanted to be in. There's actually a race right now with AI, and China wants to kind of keep up. So what they did, they can't have the same kind of hardware that us Americans have. They actually changed the software. They changed the way AI inference works, and they made it so efficient that you could actually get the same results at 10 times less the cost. So, and it's really order of magnitude. And what that really means is, everybody freaked out. I don't know if you guys remembered in December, everybody kind of freaked out that say, hey, the Chinese are taking over, or, they're doing much better. But what was not very much popularized with that event was, as these guys figured out how to do things better, they actually released the source code of DeepSeek, and they released the techniques. They gave samples. They basically gave the entire technology and all the techniques that they use to do that for free. So what happened was OpenAI and Google and all of these leading firms took notice and were like, oh my God, this thing works and it's going to run more efficiently. Nvidia actually lost money on the stock market because were thinking we don't need these Nvidias anymore because everything is going to run more efficiently. But that didn't happen. What happens is AI became more accessible and available to everybody. Where it used to cost hundreds of thousands, it's now costing $10,000 to get a decent AI server. We actually have our own AI server at BridgePoint, and it didn't cost us very much. And that's kind of the trend that's happening. People are going to have their own. So where is it headed next? It's going to be more affordable. It's going to run on cheaper hardware, $10,000 servers versus $100,000 or millions of dollars. And it'll be more accessible. So I predict before the end of the year, and a lot of people in the AI space also do this. You're gonna be able to run your local AI on your smartphones. At the rate of improvement of the technology, that's where we're headed before the end of the year. It's gonna be more conversational. So there's gonna be there right now. The thing I'm gonna show you is more focused on text, where you're gonna be chatting with ChatGPT and Grok. But they're starting to put it into voice assistants. X is Grok, is being integrated into Teslas. And I don't know if you guys what the age group is of the people over here. If you guys know about Knight Rider, Knight Rider has Kit, the guy who's talking inside the car, who is the car actually. With the Teslas having Grok, you're gonna see something like that with that if you put it in certain modes. Alexa and Google Home will also be more conversational, and it will be using AI. So I know Alexa's pretty annoying. Google is very dry. With AI, it's going to throw a little bit of personality in them and a lot more capabilities. And exponential growth. There's going to be more change in the next 10 years than in the past 100 years combined. And this is just history. We by the track record of humans, we have exponentially improved, and it's not going to change. So let's talk about which tasks are perfect for AI assistance. There's analytical work, and we're going to be doing a little bit of a demo on each one of these tasks. Analytical work, reading, analyzing, and producing insights. Content production, creating written materials from concepts and instructions. Research, we're going to be compiling and summarizing information. And programming, it usually takes certain things for programmers like me, hours and hours to do something. With AI, I could literally ask it to write me a piece of code, and it'll do something that would usually take me 4 hours. It'll do it in like 2 or 3 seconds. And which tasks are not yet suitable for AI? Highly creative roles, jobs requiring original, emotional depth, novelists, fine artists, all that kind of stuff. AI is already building its own stuff, but it's just not the same. It's not quite ready yet. Empathetic roles, therapists, counselors, and social workers. Again, there's companies that are trying to do this. It's going to be a ways off before they're able to even be remotely equal. Hands-on trades. This one is kind of an interesting space to watch because the robotics, the improvements in robotics is also exponential. Just like how AI is improving, the robotics is also improving. If you watched a video on how robots worked a year ago and watch one from the last month, it is very creepy, I guess is the word, because they are very, very, very human-like. And then moral judgment roles, judges, ethical philosophers, policymakers. I mean, AI could probably try, but I don't think the world is ready yet or will ever be ready for a machine making judgments or doing philosophy and writing policies and stuff. So let's get into the samples, which is, I know, what a lot of you came here for. We're going to talk about content creation. I actually built this webinar using ChatGPT and Grok. Social media, we want to create an engaging link in post about the industry topics. Summarization, going to take a large document and then summarize it. And then analysis, going to analyze it. And report generation, I'm going to upload something and then generate a report. And then scheduling. And I will get to that when we do the demo. So let's start with ChatGPT. I have both Grok and ChatGPT over here. Those of you who already know how this works, just indulge me for a bit to explain how it is for the people who don't. So when you first go in here, it's going to ask you to create an account. When I don't want to log out because I might not be able to log in again. Who knows what's going to happen? But you're going to create an account either using your email or your Gmail or whatever. This is the same type of way that you do. You create accounts for certain things. And I'm going to start with ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, here's where your history is going to be. Here's where you're going to type, ask anything. So you could say, what time is it? Very simple. It's going to respond with something. But here, let's talk about content creation. And I am going to create a prompt or post a prompt of how I created this webinar. Let's see, where did that go? Okay. So here, my prompt is I need to do a webinar and I need an introduction summary. The topic is AI for business, and this is what I want to discuss. How did we get here? What's it capable of? All that stuff. So I'm going to push that in there. And you'll see that it's actually producing. A lot of you are going to be like, no big deal. Those of you who've seen it, but some of you who have not seen this at all, this is kind of amazing. And so it gave me something, but I didn't give it enough instructions. So I'm going to say this text is going to be for a web landing page. So now it reworded it. This is something that I can now copy and paste and give to my web developer, even as I register now, link in there, and it's ready to go. So now I have my summary. See here, it says, would you like to include speaker details of a specific call to action? So this is off script, but let me say yes. So it actually modified that a little bit. I thought that was pretty cool. First time I saw it, I'm like, holy crap, that saved me just a lot of time. I've been doing it like almost every other day whenever I need to do something. So now I need to create a bullet point list of the topics I will be discussing. And remember, all of these things are like steps or follow-ups to my original prompt. This is my original prompt. It gave me this answer, and then I said, refine it, gave me that answer. I said, said yes to this question. Then it did that again. So it remembers. Your chat is something that is not a ask one question, get one answer. It actually has context of your previous conversations. So create me a bullet point list of the topics I'll be discussing. And then its question was, would you like to add any specific details or case studies, for example? So I'm going to put that. So now it actually gave me bullet points for each one of those. I'm literally conversing with this guy. And as I was doing this, I was talking to Violet and said, Violet, can I change the title? The problem was the website was already done, and I think some other materials were already done. And I'm like, okay, I'll just change what I have so that the title will be better. So now I said where the title is different, using Grok3 ChatGPT maximizes efficiency. This is great, but let me see. Let's say I want it as a paragraph. I just say paragraph format, please. So I mean, I could sample this to death, but you guys get the idea. I have based on just a few prompts. I did not have to be a grammar expert. I didn't need to figure out how to write a sentence correctly, set the right tone. It just did everything for me. So that was creating the content. Now let's go to the other topic, which is social media. Now I have a webinar. What do? I need to promote it in LinkedIn. So let's say create a LinkedIn post for this. So now this is what I could actually copy and paste. It looks kind of the same. I don't really want to post bullet points in LinkedIn. Let me say change it to be like a paragraph, and it's for April 1. So see that it actually said join April 1. I want to make it a little bit more fun. Put in an April Fool's Day joke in paragraph. See, where's the joke? Oh yeah, can they really make you coffee too? So you could actually make it fun, goofy, whatever you want to do, or serious. Um, it's really become very powerful. So yeah, so these are the first two, creating content. Let's do one more thing. Change this for Facebook. Not sure if there's going to be a lot of differences in there, but LinkedIn is for professionals, Facebook is for friends and family. So it's a little bit more, the language and the tone is a little bit different. So that's ChatGPT. And if you notice over here, it says what time is it in the today. That's because this chat. If I want to make a new chat, so it'll actually do this. So create me a webinar about quantum computing. So now it's doing the same kind of thing. It's actually doing a little bit more than I wanted it to do. Yeah. So let's close that, and let's now go into Grok. So Grok is the same thing. It's a competitor. I mean, there's others. Google has its own. There's something by Anthropic, and all of these other um, GPT or AI solutions. We're only going to focus on ChatGPT and Grok. I think they're the two most popular. Um, Grok is actually more of my favorite. It's a lot more powerful. If you guys remember how quickly ChatGPT answered, Grok is actually much better. So let me do something here. I will create I will upload an RFP. So let me open this RFP for you guys so you know what it looks like. This is something from a few years ago, 2020. This is a request for proposal. And how many pages is this? This is a lot. At BridgePoint, we usually get RF requests for proposals from a lot of companies before. And we're like, man, this is so much. I got to understand it. I got to read it. And then I got a response. And they want us, see here, incomplete proposals. Reserves the right to ask additional information or reject if the information is deemed to be insufficient for evaluation. So he's spending a lot of time responding to these RFPs. So let's try and make Grok figure out what to do here. So let me say, what is their goal? Now remember, I uploaded the RFP. This is the PDF. So Grok knows about this PDF, and I'm asking a question. So it's reading the PDF. All right, so it's giving me a lot of information there. It's still a bit much. I could really try to understand all of these, but this is it. Arguably, this is better than reading that whole thing. But what I really want to do is this. I'm gonna say our rate for this is 15K per month. Write me a response that I can copy and paste into Microsoft Word. So what I'm asking it to do is a very, very tall order. I made it read the RFP and create a response for it. If any of you have ever created a response to an RFP, you know that this is a 1 week process. You're going to have to analyze everything. You're going to format everything to what it needs to be, double check it, grammar check it, and then do all of these things in order for it to be complete. So that wasn't quite as big as I wanted it to be. Need a full response with their requirements. Come on, Grok, don't let me down. Let's see. So it created it's now creating there you go. It's creating the table of contents, 16 pages. Let's see if it goes through. Exhibits and attachments, required disclosures. So approach the scope of work. Man, can you imagine having to write all of these and then proofreading it, sending it to somebody? Yeah, you still have to proofread this and make sure that it's not promising the world. But you've got to admit, this is unbelievable. This will get you 4 days ahead into a 5-day project. Ownership and officer, so all of that stuff. No relationship. See, I bet you there was something in the PDF there that asked if you have any kind of conflicts of interest. And you could go on and on. You could start conversing with this and until you actually create a very viable response to the RFP. So yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed because the last time I did this, it was actually a lot bigger. But it did not. But you could keep trying and it'll get you what you want eventually. Okay, so let's talk about another sample. And I will be uploading this spreadsheet. So this is a deposit list for a company that collects donations all over their stores. And they have donations that are put in bags, and the bags are delivered into a central area. And when they're delivered, they're picked up by an armored car and deposited into a bank. And then this report actually says how much was deposited, on what day, the money, and who took it. So I will upload this guy into Grok. But first, let me make a new chat. So I will drop this deposited. So I could say, show me the top 10 deposit amounts. I can spell. So it's reading the Excel spreadsheet. Funny story, actually. I was testing this a while ago, and I was asking it too much, and it actually crapped out on me. Says I can't help you anymore, and it stopped working. So I was freaking out because this was like an hour before the webinar. I had to create a new account for it to work. Hopefully, thankfully it worked. Show this in table format. I misspelled, so let's see if it. Yep, it figured it out. So now I could say who had the highest deposit. So you kind of get the point. It knows about the data, and you could ask it questions. Let me see. I'm gonna try this. This is off script too. Write a summary of the deposit activity. Let's see what it comes up with. And it's thinking, hopefully I don't break it. Yeah, so your boss says, hey, give me a summary of last year's deposits. Crap, what do I do? I have to analyze this. I got to spend the weekend, just send it over to Grok and then copy and paste it. Chances are, if your boss is not in tune with the latest technology, they're not even going to know about this AI stuff, and you just copy and paste, and you're the best employee in the world, right? But sooner or later, that's not going to work. It's funny in school too. This is one of those things that they were talking about. Students would use ChatGPT to create papers. Teachers didn't catch on at first, but later on they figured out that this was happening. So they were actually using ChatGPT to see if this report was generated in ChatGPT, and that kind of set those students straight after a while. So two can play that game. So okay, one more sample, and I think if you guys are in this business that I'm going to be talking about, you will appreciate this. So the scenario is this. Let's say it's a TJ Maxx or a Jewel or a Starbucks or any mom and pop where you have employees, and your employees have their availabilities. So John is available at these times, Jack is available at these times, Clint, Jill, Harvey. So these are your 5 employees. They're all part-timers. Now, if you're a shift manager or if you are the owner of the business, you're going to try and figure out, like, I need 2 people every day to man the store. And this is your availability. I was talking to Rich a while ago, and he says that he was working something like this many years back, and it took hours and hours and hours. And this is just 5 people. Typically, you might have 20 or 30, and the more people that you have, and the more requirements you have for shifts, the harder and harder this is going to be. So some of you probably already know where I'm going with this, but let me. All right, I'm still sharing, right? Okay. So I uploaded that availability spreadsheet, this guy right here. So let me do this. Make me a schedule, a shift schedule in table format where I need 2 people for every shift at all times, and nobody can work more than 20 hours per week. Let's see what it does. How about that? I just regained what, 2 hours of my life back with that with that shift schedule. So Sunday, John and Harvey. Monday, everybody basically has a shift in there. I mean, it's not difficult if it's like 6 people or 5 people, but imagine doing 20 people or 30 people and having like different shifts. You could make it so that from 9 to 5 I need 1 person or 2 people, but after 5 it's 1 person. So you could do all of that kind of stuff. Let me expand this a little bit. So make me a schedule in table format for the next 4 weeks. So I'm going to do it for the entire month. So it's going to try and do that. I mean, you know where this is going. This is going to produce 4 different tables, one for each week, as you see over there. It's got dates. 2 weeks. I'm just amazed. I actually just discovered this. I thought about doing this a few weeks back. I'm like, I wonder if it could do this. So I just gave it a try to see if I could include this in this webinar. Um, let me throw something off script. Make me let's see, how do you say this? Create the schedule for John. Print the schedule for John. So you can actually say print the schedule for each user. I didn't even say for the next 4 weeks. It actually knows that the shift schedule is for the next 4 weeks. Going back to the thing that I was talking about, that it has context on the previous conversations. And it gives you notes too. So yeah, I mean, if this doesn't convince you that this is something that will change the way you work, I don't know what will. I mean, there's so and things are improving exponentially too. I mean, this is already fantastic in and of itself, but it's hard to argue that the way things are going, it's only going to get better. And even if nothing gets better anymore right now, AI as it is already something that is going to be very transformational. So let's
John,
go on to the next topic.
Hey, John, I just want to jump in for 1 second. I know
Yeah,
there were a few questions that came up in the Q&A.
sure.
We can get into them at the end of the session, but as you go through this next section on fears versus reality, a lot of these questions are related to privacy concerns, and also, making sure that anything that's being shared is not being put at risk and being
Perfect.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an excellent question. Remember earlier in the presentation, I was saying before DeepSeek, it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars in order for you to have your own AI server. Because admit it, I mean, even if your AI system is hosted in Azure, Microsoft's data center, and they claim that your data is safe and it's private, the hardware is still there. You're still uploading something into Microsoft's data center, and they provide AI for everybody. Um, who's to say the only thing really that's preventing them from keeping your data safe and inaccessible from everybody else is the fact that you wrote a contract and they wrote a contract that they are not going to share your data. Um, is that going to be enforced? Maybe, most likely. Are you going to sue them if you find your data somewhere else? Probably not. So what are people going to do? They're going to be like, yeah, I know you said that, but I'm no thanks. Um, with DeepSeek though, and this is going back to why that's very important. It made it so that AI is going to get cheaper and cheaper. It got the ball rolling on making the hardware cheaper to acquire and to use. This is why Nvidia's stock went down briefly, because people are going to be like, "Oh, nobody needs Nvidia anymore. Their stock is going to go down," which is not which was true. It happened for 2 days, and if you were smart, you should have bought at that time. You would have made a lot of profit. I did. Um, I didn't make a lot of profit because I think I just bought 2 shares, but that's beside the point. But anyway, so the new techniques made it so that you could actually have your own servers where it's the hardware, the actual piece of hardware is in your office. And if you're worried about your data going out into the internet, you shouldn't have to be, because it's only going to be there. And I don't want to get into the technicals. When you install these AI systems, um, it does not communicate out to the outside world unless you program that in. By default, these things only communicate with its own internal database, which people call the model. And the model is kind of like the brain. It's the base brain of the system. When you see me uploading things over here, what it does is it takes all of its knowledge in the model in its brain, and then takes that document that you just uploaded and puts it front and center. It's kind of like if you're into cars, or if you're into fixing things. Let's say you're gonna do an oil change, um, and you're 20 years old. All of your 20-year-old memories and skills are already built into you. That is your model. This is your baseline. Now you need to know how to do an oil change. So what do? You watch a YouTube video. When you watch the YouTube video, that information is front and center in your mind while you're doing your task. It's the same equivalent as me doing this, dragging a document in here. I'm putting the information that I need at the time as my context, as my primary information, but still use your 20 years worth of knowledge to answer my questions. So, short answer, um, technically, there are services that will let you keep your data private, and they are under contract to keep it private. It's your call to trust it or not. Maybe your information is not that important, that it's okay. But if you're putting in trade secrets, things that you could get sued for, I wouldn't do it. Definitely not use. Don't use DeepSeek, for sure. If you're gonna do it, DeepSeek, absolutely not, because it's going to China. You could actually go to jail for that. There's legislation on the Hill that actually proposed that. But yeah.
Thank you, John. And actually, I'm going to call a little bit of an audible on your presentation, because I know we only have about 10 minutes left, and there are other questions that are starting to pop in now. So I
Yeah.
think if there's anything you want to hit real quick, let's do it. Otherwise, we'll move right to the Q&A session.
No, actually, this is just 20 seconds. So job elimination is the fear. Out of it being out of control is a fear. Yeah, these are true fears. And these are valid. But it really is a historic opportunity. I'm not even going to read these, but if I'll leave you with this, as far as this topic is concerned. Henry Ford said, "Machines save time and make money, and it lets us build more and hire folks for better work. Work is just going to be different. It's not going to go away. You're going to be working on different things, because the menial things are not even going to be there. You're going to be like, I don't need to analyze this RFP. I just feed it in there, and I know what it's going to do, and I can respond to it really quick." So yeah, let's go with the questions, Rich.
Yeah, great. So one of the questions that came in is asking about Copilot.
Yes.
So hold on one second, my window got a little too small for me to read that question correctly. Sorry, I lost that question. I got to find it again.
Copilot is basically Microsoft's version of ChatGPT. Underneath, it's actually OpenAI. And what Microsoft did is, obviously, in pure Microsoft fashion, they included this in everything that they have. They included this in Teams. They included this in Word, Excel. So when I uploaded an Excel document to Grok, if you use Copilot inside of Excel, then it's gonna do the same thing. The
Yeah, so the
context is
question,
that.
and I just found the question, John. Sorry.
Mhm.
It's, can I upload documents to Copilot chat? So things that,
I don't know specifically if you can. I'd be surprised if you cannot. I don't use Copilot personally, but I don't see why not. But like I said, if you use Copilot from within a spreadsheet, I'm not sure where it is in here. It should be in here somewhere. But you should be able to see Copilot in these Microsoft products, and it's the equivalent of uploading that document. Let's give it a try, actually. Let's see. It needs me to sign in. Let me see if I could do that really quick. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if that was the question or if you were asking something specific, like Copilot in Teams or Copilot in Word. But for sure, it does everything. Make me a schedule for the week. 2 people per shift. A little slower. This is why I love Grok, because Grok was a little bit faster in there. So yeah, it kind of did the same thing. I'll say table format. I wasn't sure if that was the question you were asking, but if you use this, then the answer is yes.
Okay.
Any others?
Yeah, someone is asking about Excel. So if you could ask it to show an example of how to craft a formula in Excel. For
Oh
example,
yeah, absolutely.
ask it how to use a pivot table, something like that.
Interesting. I the answer is yes. I have not tried it yet. So let's go into this deposited, um, this spreadsheet, this deposit spreadsheet. Let's make a new. So make me a pivot table with sums for each person. Hopefully, I was using this spreadsheet a while ago when it broke on me because I said show me all of the results for June, um, and it just went on and on and on, and I had to close it. So I mean, it does something like this. I mean, you could get more complicated, but the answer is to the question is yes, absolutely. Um, and then you could make it create formulas. Uh, Let me see. How do we do this? Show me if you have a formula in mind. You could definitely ask it to do this, but I don't. So let me just ask something general.
They asked about if maybe use an example to tell you how to create a pivot table. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. A lot faster than looking it up yourself.
Yeah, and that's the point. So it's not really gonna do everything for you yet, and I say yet because it eventually will. Um, I don't believe that this could output a Word document or an Excel for you. It's going to give you instructions on how to do it. Sooner or later, it's going to be able to just give you a new version of your Excel document. If not, be able to do it today. I mean, I encourage you guys to try it. There's nothing to lose. This is free. I did not have to pay for anything to do this. If
Yeah.
I keep going like this and keep asking it a lot of complicated things, it's gonna say, "Hey, you've reached your limit," and then you have to upgrade.
Yeah, and on that note, John, someone mentioned in the chat that there's no advertising on it. No pop-up ads or things that are distracting you. You know why
Correct.
that is?
That is because of this. So this is ChatGPT. So when you get addicted to this and your workload is actually tied into using this a lot, you're going to use a whole lot of it. And when you hit your certain limit, they're going to quarantine you or put you in the timeout box for like 4 hours where you can't use it until, until after 4 hours. Or you can subscribe. And then when you subscribe, you get better models, newer models, and then it's unlimited. So this is ChatGPT, $25 a month. I looked at Grok. When I screwed up a while ago and freaked it out, and I thought I was just gonna subscribe for the webinar, and I said let me just create another account, and it worked. So I just created a different account. So when you go super for Grok, let's do monthly, $30 a month. Yeah, so now it's gonna ask for my credit card. So this
Yeah.
is how they make money.
And then last question, John, and I'm gonna make this a two-part question. I'm combining two different people's questions here.
Yeah.
As far as copyright issues, or if you're taking something from AI and posting it on LinkedIn or on another site, do you have to worry about copyright issues? That's the first part. And then the second part is, do you have to worry about your competitors knowing what you may have searched for on Grok or on ChatGPT?
Your competitors knowing what, like,
Yeah, so like if you were if the RFP example is when they raised that question earlier, couldn't one of your competitors just go on and say, did any of my competitors search for this RFP, search for help with this RFP is what they were asking about.
if anybody searched for help with this RFP. So did anybody else do the same thing I did? In other words,
Yeah,
I doubt
it gets
that.
into the privacy piece more.
Yeah, that goes back into the privacy thing,
Yep.
because I am not going to find out what Rich Rosalia used ChatGPT for, no matter what I do. It's a privacy thing. That would be a gross violation of privacy. So the answer to the second question is no, that's not going to happen. The answer to the first question is actually an open-ended answer. There's a lawsuit happening right now for people suing ChatGPT for scraping their public information on the internet. I think it's still pending. I don't want to pretend to be a judge or a jury as far as how that's going to work. But I seriously don't think that it's going to be an issue, because it's not going to be producing it word for word. It's going to be rephrasing it, summarizing it. And if you put something on the internet, you already know that you're making it public. It's no different than somebody reading it and then using their brain to actually rewrite it. Instead, this is just a machine. The only reason why people would sue you for copyright for using it here is because you could actually sue somebody who has money, which is ChatGPT. But really, it's not any different from you just taking it from a website and then you know writing your own summary. I mean, how can you sue for that?
Yep. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of today's webinar. So as a reminder, a recording of today's session is going to be uploaded to the BridgePoint website for your future reference. And we are scheduling our next webinar for May 8th. So if you want to just put a reminder on your calendar, we don't have the exact topic yet. We're working on that. So keep an eye out on our social media accounts for emails from BridgePoint that are going to announce the topic and the registration details. And then last but not least, for those of you who don't know us, BridgePoint Technologies is an IT managed services company. So we have more than 20 years of experience helping improve cybersecurity, IT support, and overall technology strategy for organizations. So please feel free to contact us if you need help with this topic or anything else related to technology. Thank you, everybody, and have a great afternoon.